Hi, I'm Matt Elwell with CPA.com.
And I'm Charles Groome with Biz2Credit.
And Charles, thanks for joining me today and meeting up to chat about some of the economic landscape that our small to mid-sized business clients are facing here in 2025. And I think, to understand where we're at, we really have to really understand what we've gone through over the past, throughout 2020 through now, going through a pandemic and all the business relief efforts we've experienced and help our clients with. And then even into some very crazy inflation environments and interest rate changing environments. With all this uncertainty that we faced and are still facing our clients, how can CPA firms really position themselves to provide stability and guidance for their small to mid-sized business clients?
Yeah, look, I think we've come a long way from COVID, thankfully, but it's still having an effect in the way that business owners plan for their finances and are dealing with these different patterns and trends that are going on right now. So I think as an accounting firm and as CPA practitioners in particular, you need to be really educating your client as you're providing services to them. And this is where advisory services is the perfect vehicle for helping clients make better financial decisions. And as you think about the range of challenges that business owners are facing as we start this new year, think about the current state of the economy. Think about where we've come from in a high inflation economy. Prices are still very high. Business owners can't necessarily pass all of that cost onto their consumers, depending on what kind of business they're in. Businesses are margin compressed. They might have greater workforce shortages than they were facing a few years ago. They might have more demands for rising wages in their business. So business owners are dealing with all of these challenges on a day-to-day basis. They can't really zoom out and take that bigger perspective on what is the economic landscape, what does it have to do with my business? So I think the CPA's role starts there. It's about translating what are these headlines from the major news media about the economy, what do they mean for my particular business as a business owner?
Yeah, I think that's a tough thing to boil down for our clients, but understanding and benchmarking against other businesses in those industries is a great way for firms to really help their business owners, their clients, understand where they stand today, and maybe more importantly, how that might impact them if they're seeking funding. So
yeah, and it's a challenging thing. I mean, I'm interested in your perspective, Matt, because for CPAs, being in that advisory position when it comes to something so sensitive as financing, I know is a challenging strategic decision that a firm needs to make. What are some of the ways that you think firms can best educate themselves to be in the right position to decide how they engage their clients when it comes to a financing decision?
Yeah, and I think there again, it's about being proactive, right? Not only proactively looking at our clients' financials and understanding when they might need financing or how we can impact their cash flow through financing, whether it's refinancing, solving short-term issues, or seeking long-term financing. Those things are important, but as a practitioner, it's also important to understand what's out there. And going to some of the industry journals, whether it be CPA Practice Advisor, Journal of Accountancy, those are great first steps. I think it's also important to dive into the lenders. Spend time on the SBA website. Banks calling us. That was part of your career is banks showing up and saying, hey, I'm here. We can help your clients. They can also offer a lot of insight and share, real-time data on what might impact your clients. So those are important things to understand, what goes into those applications, understanding what are the important ratios that, whether it's debt service coverage ratio or others, they need to really understand to be able to translate to their clients as they're looking at options for funding. Understanding those is not wildly complex for numbers people, right? But then understanding, hey, what does that mean when we're saying when there's an actual offer, how do we accept funding? Yeah. When do we accept funding? That's where Excel comes in and our knowledge comes in.
I think that's so important. You have to pair the numbers savviness with this advisory attitude that you take with these business owners. So many of them are looking to you as the financial guru in their business life. And when it comes to understanding how a lender is going to look at them and whether or not they're going to get the rate that they really are depending on, you're the best source of some of that perspective. They're not going to get it anywhere else.
Yeah, many of our small business clients, they don't have an accounting staff. We are their accounting staff, right? So when they're looking at, hey, who are my advisors, the accountant is often their most important advisor. And it's okay to lean into that role because we can make a positive impact on our clients' numbers, right? We can impact their balance sheet, we can impact their cash flow statements, which are all extremely important, especially as we have that uncertainty around inputs.
Yeah, I mean, think about being able to potentially take your client from 5 or 6 different financings that they might have at various different rates, some of them fixed, some of them floating, and being able to consolidate them in a refinance structure with maybe an SBA loan. That's a long, drawn-out process that a small business owner doesn't have the time or the patience or the financial know-how to get through successfully, but with an accountant at their hand being ready to walk them through the process piece by piece, they'll be more successful. I mean, we've seen those examples working together on the partnership where an accountant steps in and suddenly the cost of capital for that business goes from 35, 40% across many different lenders when you blend it together to something like low teens, and they've now freed up a huge amount of operating cash flow.
Yeah, and I think that's another area that stresses CPAs and their clients out is, how do we make sense with these fluctuating interest rates, maybe some market volatility in different areas? How are firms supposed to really stay informed and learn and understand what's impacting their clients around financing?
I mean, lending tends to be a month-to-month kind of decision, right? The Fed is meeting every couple of months on where are rates going to be, where should they be, but really taking account of the economic data on a monthly basis is where I think firms need to start. And looking ahead at 2025, plan that out, right?
Yeah.
Coming out of tax season, think about going out to your clients with a kind of economic snapshot and pull from these different sources. Biz Credit puts out data, different websites like the SBA website put out data on lending. Aggregate it for them. It's as simple as putting it in a newsletter sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the areas that we try to have a big positive impact with you on our firms through our CPA Business Funding Portal relationship is really trying to drive some of that content to our firms.
Right.
So they're better informed and can better inform their clients and really have a positive impact. But I think one of the stories that's been untold and maybe not in the forefront is a little harder to describe, right? It's really changing the relationships between the CPA and the client when we get involved in, that financing decision.
Yeah, and I think that's, where CPAs have to be confident in what kind of relationship they're going to forge with their clients around financing. Should they be in that purely advisory, educational role, or should they extend into recommendation and providing those options, or even go so far as to package the application for their client? I think firms this year really should take a hard look at that range, make a decision, and then stick with it to build a stronger relationship with their clients for 25 and beyond.
I agree. And thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you. If you want to learn more, feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn here.